Why are people upset with the truth? When you hear Steve Harvey say there are repercussions when you tell the truth. Well, remember when we were children? What would your grandmother tell you?
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth, because if not, there will be what? Repercussions.
Right.
Well, now it's got turned around. When you tell the truth, there'll be repercussions. So what's the opposite of that? Should I tell a lie and get a reward? So that's how we're rolling right now. That's how we're dealing with one another right now. So when it comes to family and people saying, oh, Monique, how could you? Listen, I want to live the rest of this journey that I have in peace. I want to be with my family, in love with my man, he in love with me. We watch our babies grow and develop their own families. I don't need anything in the midst of that, because you family, that I should accept that trauma. I should accept you not taking accountability for what you've done, what you've said, and we just washed the slate. That's why we're in the position we are now as a community, as a Black community, as a community in entertainment. Everybody's been so afraid to say, look what they did to me. Look what they said. And it's like, oh, well, listen now, we don't want to ruffle no feathers, especially if the messenger doesn't fit what people should think the messenger is supposed to look like.
Right.
And we keep repeating history, Shannon.
Is it a situation, Monique, where people look and say, well, you made it thus far? Well, it couldn't have been that bad, because if it has been as bad as you say it is, Monique, how would you have ever gotten out of B More? How would you have ever gotten into Hollywood? How would you ever have a talk show? How would you ever be on a sitcom? So how is it that bad, Monique, and you end up like this?
You know, when you first got in the NFL?
Yes, ma'am.
Your eyes were like this.
Yes.
And it was, oh, I made it. I'm here.
Right.
And then after you start getting in it and you started seeing things and you started feeling things and now your eyes start getting a little closer, because now you're understanding what the business is.
Right.
So when you first walk through the door, you're walking through the door saying, come on, baby. Oh, this is all I've ever prayed for. And when my baby Cat Williams sat here and said, no one's ever gone out to LA and got a sitcom like that. I was in LA for 3 months, and here comes a show called The Parkers. And there we go from there. It took off from there. So I think that when people say, if it was so bad, you mature. You begin to understand what you're dealing with.
Right.
You begin to understand what you're in the midst of. And once you understand it is when you can speak on it.
Right.
But before you really know what you're looking at, how do you speak on that?
Right.
Because when you first walk in the door of Hollywood, you have everybody telling you, oh my goodness, you're going to be amazing. Oh my goodness, this is going to be incredible. Well, that's all you know.
That is all you know.
Yes.
But you're so happy to be here.
Yes.
And you're like, okay.
When I listen to your story, you say dirt poor.
Yes.
Bathroom outside.
Yes.
It was, we had to make it work however we can make it work.
Correct.
And then you get that first big check.
Yes.
And you think the people that gave it to you is awesome because they gave it to you. And it's more money than you've ever seen before, until you find out this ain't the right money. This ain't the right amount. Wait a minute. If they got this, why am I getting this? Then you start putting the pieces together and you start saying, it's not right and I'm going to speak about it. See, when I saw Taraji broken on those platforms, it was painful to watch. However, Taraji and I had a conversation over a decade ago.
Yes.
In my trailer when I was doing the Monique show. And she said, you know, you got to keep on getting it until your turn comes. And I said, Taraji, most of us die before our turn comes. We got to ask for it right now. Now, I understand that because there was a time I felt the same way.
Exactly.
Because that's what I was told.
Right.
You just keep going and we'll get him the next time. We'll get him the next time. We'll get him the next time. And the next time never comes. And then you see our sister broken, sitting on those platforms. Now, when I said it,
Why didn't it get the traction when you said it that when she said it, now all of a sudden everybody is coming? And I don't have a problem. I'm glad.
Yes.
But if you said this a decade ago, and I remember you saying it over a decade ago, why didn't it get the traction? Why didn't it get the support? Why wasn't it propped up when Monique said it?
I think there's a few reasons why. Number one, it was the messenger. I should just be grateful I got invited to the party. You a big, fat, black woman. How dare you be the one? And then on top of that, you're saying names. You're saying Oprah's name out loud. You're saying Tyler's name out loud. You're saying Lee's name out loud. You're saying Lionsgate out loud. That's not what we do. We say they. We say the people. We say the studio. We say the producers. How dare you actually say our heroes' names?
You're very specific.
These are our heroes. How could you say their names out loud? Because they're the ones that did it. And if I don't say it out loud, now you see a woman that is swallowing that pain, that is so stressed out. Then you see our sister Taraji P. Henson sit on that platform. And I love that baby because she's a beautiful spirit. But to see her that broken, what our community was saying was, we have a hard time, some of us, we have a hard time seeing a strong black woman with her back straight and a chin up and a strong black man standing by her side. We have a hard time accepting that. But we can accept seeing a black woman broken. Now it's really serious because she's falling apart. Our community had a hard time with those two things. And when I would hear people say, why is her husband there? Why is he there? It's a sad day when we're questioning why a black man would stand with his black woman. So when you hear black women saying we're the most undervalued, disrespected, underserved, mistreated, violated, exploited, we get all of that. Then you see a black man standing with his black woman saying, not on my watch. And you hear some black men saying, why her husband gotta be there? We're in a sad state of affairs when we begin to question black love and black unity. So they didn't want to hear me, some of them, because of what I look like, because I spoke about their heroes, and because they saw that man standing right there strong.
Did they question the validity, because we had never seen this before, not so public, not so present?
Yes.
Did they question you and his relationship?
Me and my husband?
Yes.
When you say question, what
But
do you
it's
mean?
like,
Command on internal.
Affirmative. 3, 2, 1.
Because they did, but I want to understand what you mean.
because, okay, did they think that was your husband, or what was he, your manager? Because he's been everything.
Yes.
He's your lover, he's your manager,
Name
he's your
'em.
confidant.
Name 'em.
He's the father.
Come on, name them.
Whatever he's all encompassing.
Yes.
He's a toolbox with all the tools that Monique needs.
All of them.
And so when I heard people saying that, why is he there? Why does he have to be in every interview? Why does he have to be in the background? Why can't Monique do that? Why not?
Why not? Why not? And that's when you see, and these are my sisters, but when you see Taraji, when you see Viola, when you see our sisters speaking out, you never see their representation sitting right there with them.
Mm-hmm.
You never see them saying, listen, we got to fight together.
Right.
My husband is also my manager, which is my representation.
Right.
But again, we've been so beat down that some of us have a problem with this black man saying, I'm standing right here strong,
Right.
and I will not flinch and I will not budge. What a sad state of affairs we are now in, where you have people that look like you and I that would question why this man is standing there. That, for the life of me, is disheartening. When we heard Brother Malcolm say, we've been run amok, we've been hoodwinked, we're now doing it to ourselves. We're now doing it to ourselves. So when you say, Monique, it was different because we had never seen that before. You said their names. Let me say this. I'm not the first one.
Right.
I'm not the first one, but we get washed away in history so easily that we start thinking, oh, this is the first one. This is the first one. Her name is Claudette Colvin. And she's not the first one, but she was before Rosa Parks. But because Claudette Colvin did not fit the picture that they thought she should look like, she was dark skinned and she had coarse hair. And because the organization, I believe it was the NAACP, did not think she would be accepted by the white people, they had to get somebody that they said the white people could accept. We keep repeating the same thing because what I said is no different than what anyone else is saying. Not at all.
Right.
It was the messenger. And it was the way that I'm not putting my head down. I'm not shedding one tear. I'm not going to say, I don't want to say their name because I might get in trouble. I'm going to say all of it.
Right.
Because when you really think about that little girl coming behind you, what I don't ever want that baby to see is me broken. I don't want her to see me falling apart. And I understand it. I understand how it can happen, Shannon, when you may not have a foundation at home,
Correct.
when you may not have that man at home or that woman at home, whomever, that support person saying you're not crazy.
Right.
I got you. Come on. We're going to go through this. We're going to get through this. So for us, if we start taking things for what they are and get out of our emotions, we would be so far along.
Do you believe punishment? Punishment is not only meant for the perpetrator, but it's also to deter others from said acts.
You see it.
Do you believe the punishment that was bestowed upon Monique was not only to punish you,
You saw it.
but to deter others from saying what you said?
Well, Shannon, see here, and I'm going to answer that. But sometimes we act like we don't know our history. See, back in the day when they had us in chains, they would beat one real good.
Right. But
They
in
let
front of the others.
In front of the others, and they let everybody know what you don't want is that type of ass whooping.
Right.
So what they said was, we're going to beat Monique really good. We're going to sit her down. And I made it public. Financially, my family took a hit, Shannon. And when I tell you we took a hit,
Right.
we took a hit. So when you see our sister go through that, you see her go through, and we act like our eyes didn't see what it saw when we watched that promotion happen with The Color Purple.
Right.
We wanted to act like we didn't see how Oprah Winfrey treated Taraji. In my humble opinion, when you saw her walk up, you saw that there was tension. You saw that there was something happening.
Right.
And then when you see Taraji write her a love letter, it's like, listen, we got to stand tall and stand strong on what we know. We know you were mistreated. We know it wasn't right. We know it was unfair. And then you turn around and say, oh, but Lady O handled it. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because that allows Lady O to keep on doing what she's doing. And we're in a position of, I don't want to say nothing because we saw how Monique got whooped. Now, again, that's just my humble opinion, but I don't know I don't know how else to frame that. It's like, listen, you better fix that because you saw what they did to her. You saw how they treated her.
Is it a situation, do you believe it's a situation that Oprah might have faced something similar that maybe wasn't as public as you? And she's looking at it, well, if I faced that, went through it and came out on the other side and look at me, it should be okay. Because sometimes we get that with parents. You know, I struggle. You say my kids should have to struggle sometimes also. Do you think that might be something going on with her? Or you just like, there's a disconnect?
There's a disconnect.
Okay.
There's a disconnect, and there's been a disconnect for years. There's a disconnect. And I think what happens is we place people on these pedestals and we say, oh no, you can't do no wrong. We don't even want to hear it.
Right.
And when you hear cats say, you know what they do? They don't say anything and they act like it didn't happen. I'm going to keep talking until you take accountability.
Right.
Until you say, Uncle, I've done this. That's why it was so important. From Oprah Winfrey to Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels. Now, Lee Daniels was the only one I had to deal with. Did you see Lee Daniels apologize? He walked out on that stage. Not only did he apologize on stage, that man apologized to our children. That man apologized to our children and said, I need to apologize for what I put y'all through. He's the only one I had to deal with. However, it became a problem with Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry that I wouldn't do something and work for free. Now, when you say, well, maybe Oprah feels like she came through it, why can't you?
Right.
Well, there's a story with Oprah Winfrey when she was on